Hey, this is Bill Chris back in the cave, and today I'd like to talk to you about influence blocking. Okay, influence blocking is a way to, it's within a gap scheme, it can be in a zone scheme, and if you don't have an influence blocking tag and structure within your scheme, your blocking scheme, you're only really doing half the work. So, in a standard gap scheme, we have rules and how we get to guys, and influence blocking is within that footwork and direction or change ups that set up the defense and make things a little easier for your guys. Really works if you got some undersized guys against some big guys, helps set them up in better position to defeat them or get effective blocks on them, makes holes a little wider. And what it does is, for the most part, it works against a good defense. So if you have a structurally sound defense that is gap sound, okay, you probably need to do some influence blocking to make it a little easier on your front five. Influence, though, it doesn't just go to the offensive line, applies to tight ends, backs. You can use it on the edges with your receivers. Your limit is your imagination, but relative to the position. But for today, keep it simple. I'm going to go into some of the influence blocking we use in our gap scheme to help set up players to make things a little easier on our fullbacks, tight end, and offensive line. Okay, so in a standard blocking scheme, for example, a classic influence block for us was very effective is doing something with a one technique. A one technique is usually a big bear. Okay, sometimes he's a 2-eye, sometimes he's a shade on the center. Okay, an effective trap for us in a gap scheme is an interior trap in one of the A gaps. A lot of people stay away from it because this guy can squeeze down and control a lot of space. He's big and strong. Often it's a mismatch depending on your team. So how do we deal with that? Okay, so let's say he's a 2-eye, which is pretty standard on an even front there. Okay, we set the strength. We're going to come back, trap to the one technique side. We're going to trap the one technique. Now, we don't want him squeezing this center down. We don't want him tightening this A gap because if we get an effective trap, his big butt blocks up this space, and we want to get up in here with a nice hole for the back. Most of our holes in our scheme, we are designed for the running backs to hit the line of scrimmage at a 45-ish degree angle. Okay, if you're hitting interior A gap traps, they need a little more room because that's more of a direct perpendicular to the goal line attack, and then find the flag beyond the linebacker. So we need to give them a little space. Okay, and rather just have our guys just try to gut it out and try to blast this guy out of that A gap. Okay, we're going to have him help us by we're going to encourage him to leave the A gap or at least widen the A gap for us with an influence block. So an influence blocks all starts from your stance. Now, depending on film study, and I found over the years, I'm conscious of film study. I scout, I self-scout, and I assume I'm being scouted. But I found that you can get enough distance in your splits to set up quality, disciplined defensive linemen that are following on their shade without tipping the film. Also, I do things like have our guys change up their splits regularly, whether or not they're setting the guy up or not, whenever it's their advantage, so that even if they do notice our splits have changed a few inches, and we're only talking a few inches, but that distance matters in football. Tenths of a second matter. So if they do notice, they're really not given a key. So starting with, on this would, for us, would be a 3-hole trap on the one technique. That's our 3-hole. Okay, we have 2 calls. We tag it. Our offensive line have perception of what's going on, and they have freedom to adjust during game, and even our guys can make the call on their own, but we can tag it for them. So this is an example of how influence looks. So this guy is clogging up the A gap. We like to give our trapper a little help. Okay, we will tag. For us, it was a sugar call. Okay, our base trap on this, like I originally showed you, is salt. So that, I always told our guys, that's base, salt of the earth, average, okay, standard. Okay, if we want to spice it up, we do a sugar call. Okay, so sugar is different than salt, a little spicier. There's a G in it. Okay, that's the backside guard. Okay, third letter in is G. So we're telling him to do something different. So right from out of the huddle, whether it's salt or sugar, he's going to try to set this guy up by widening his split away from the center. Just a half split size maybe. That's all that matters. Pull that guy away from that center a little bit. Okay. If he's shading the nose guard, and that's one of the reasons I'm an odd front guy, it's a little harder to set him up. He's fixed. You can't move his center, right? You can crowd down closer to him if he's shading the center, but you really can't pull him out of the gap. So, but right now we got your standard even front. We got a 2-eye. So we're going to step a little bit wider. He goes a little bit wider. Okay, you haven't blocked yet, but you've influenced. Okay, you spread that defense out a little bit more than they're used to, a little more than they were the last play, without them expecting what's happening, suspecting what's happening. So now, okay, with a sugar call, we still have this standard trap. Center still going backside, but now the guard, okay, he's going to trap away, a sucker trap. Sometimes one of our tags for this on some of our plays is sucker. So a lot of times, quality defensive linemen are trained to follow the guard or follow the trapper. Okay, GT trap. My guys do it too. They'll follow the trapper. So often you can really get lucky. I mean, he's at least going to step wide with this guy, trying to figure what's going on. If he follows him, which does happen, okay, we don't even have to trap him anymore. Now our guard, so we go up the backer. If he sees that defensive tackle's butt following our guard, okay, we just go, we don't trap him in the butt, we just go right up the linebacker. If he's just wider, okay, we've already made this hole wider, just hitting him right here. If we get a stalemate, it's the same as if we kicked him out from his tight position. So we've influenced and thrown an influence block on the backside. We can set up an end on counter trap where we start wide, we arc, okay, he usually goes wide and gives us a bigger hole to come in here in this lane for counter. Okay, so we have an arc tag for our ends, the pull ends wide. In our general rules, we don't trap, we don't block anybody outside the trap. So he's going to work his way back down inside anyway, but sometimes we'll just, if they're getting used to this and they're closing down, spilling, we don't want them down in there, okay, we'll take footwork wide and avoid him, have him go wide, and give ourselves a nice target for the trap. Okay, on the power side, you know, we got to have guys, force players that are trained to play behind the ear or the head of the tackle. Okay, sometimes the 2-gap to train to play behind the ear of the tackle, the center. So here's another way we can take advantage of that. We want to trap power side, or we want to work some sort of power scheme. Okay, whether we're going to kick him out or wrap. Okay, we can influence him. He wants to stay behind the head. Okay, and if we go down and he's coming right off the heels of the tackle, right off his butt, and crash in the back, our backfield, making things a little difficult for a trap. And we can still, we're trained on the backside now. That'll turn into a spill block, and we'll try to bounce it outside. That's a lot of moving parts. We will influence block him. So the tackle will start with, he still has the same assignment. Okay, he's going to end up double teaming, working the linebacker if we're going to trap this end, but he's going to arc into him. So his first step is going to be into that end. Okay, we're a shoulder blocking team. He's going to flip her to a push. Okay, so he's going to flip her to a push and ricochet off him down to his double team, down to a backer. This guy should be aware of what's going on, so he gets a more solid block. You don't want him far inside hip and let this 3 technique slide off. But you drill it, and they get the timing down. So what that does, he's going to stay wide because he's trained to stay outside. He's the force player. Allows us a target to trap on the edge on a wider hole. It also works if you're running power. Okay, he can step inside. Now the linebacker steps inside. A lot of people are trained to follow the sniffer. We run a single wing, in case you haven't seen all my videos, and wing T structured formations. I love a sniffer. One of the reasons is because teams are trained to follow sniffer, go to the ball, so you can influence the linebacker's first step. Often they're right, but we have plays where, go ahead and be right, we'll be there. But also we can use a sniffer to confuse them. Okay, so, well, he's going to take a step outside. He's going to mirror him with a step inside. Now he's going to ricochet technique again. This guy's going to come back, kick out, and now we got a nice wrap lane. We're going to far backer, whatever backer we see, but ideally drawn up as far backer. Now the wrap guard on a power play is going to wall off the near backer. So we've arced, stepped, we got these linebackers going in, we got that guy going out, we've just widened the hole. We've influence blocked. Okay, it's the scheme within the scheme. Speaking of the one back, we have, and him following the ball, we influence often with him. I think 3 traps, one of them, the one I started with, where we're doing this, sugar, okay, he comes out. He goes away from the 3-hole on that play. It's a key breaker. Okay, it's an influence, but it also moves the linebackers. They step down and gives us time to get here and wall them off the tackle, to get up there to the backers. And we ended up, depending on what we have in formation, with a wall here. Okay, linebackers over here going with him. And then you got the 3 technique chasing, free trapper, whoever's left over. We got a lane, like I said, right up the middle on the interior trap. Okay, we run buck sweep. Most every team in America runs buck sweep. Buck sweep, if you don't have influence trapping and or sucker trapping on buck sweep, then you're not getting all your potential out of play. So we run buck sweep several different ways, and we do have a tag in it. So there's many examples of the way we can do this. I'll put the tight end on this one. I'll do a standard wing tee buck sweep. Something like that. Okay. Sure we got everybody. So, buck sweep and pull. We wrap, okay. And teams get used to following that, okay. We got a fake, a give, off we go. Pretty standard buck sweep. Okay, we have a sucker call. Where we are now going to pull the wrong way. Sometimes I call it wrong way, okay? We're still going to give. And just that motion alone, particularly against good defenses, it's only going to work once or twice a game, but it's going to be a big play. Those linebackers are going to scream with those lines, especially if they are, you're getting stuffed. We call sucker, and we just block it all the same way. Everybody's still down. But both guards literally pull the wrong way. Sometimes I call it a wrong way tag. We're just wrong. And or sometimes we call it buck sucker. But we're still running buck sweep. Guards pull the wrong way to space. And you'd be surprised what opens up. Influence blocking. Linebackers are influenced. Okay, and everything you can do out of this is I have, in a lot of wing tee offenses, a lot of wing offenses, they run jet. So we can do the same thing. It's really deadly with jet. So we want to cross, we pull, okay, and then you got to lead. Probably bring him. He's coming, rolling. You ran jet. You can run it standard with buck blocking, or you can run jet with a sucker, and that's very effective. Especially if you're using some jet motion on some of your other plays to gain numbers. Okay, everything we do at influence blocking out of pulling guards is we do run a mix of outside zone and gap. And I know they say not to dabble in both, but I'm telling you it's possible. Usually what gets people in trouble is when they go outside zone, they start hands blocking, okay? You can't change your blocking style. You can change your blocking scheme, but you can't change your blocking style. So if you're a shoulder blocking team and you want to run zone, shoulder blocking, and you can do it. So we use covered and uncovered principles. So we're looking for double teams at the point of attack. Okay, so not covered, I'm going to double, backer. Okay, we're going to reach, probably get a fullback out here. And what we've done is we're still running buck sweep. We're running sweep, it's really become stretch, but now the guards are freezing because we're outside zone. They see double teams, and now they can't scream and just chase the guards like they had been. So that's another influence where really we're just changing schemes from a gap scheme buck to outside zone, but it's still influencing the defense because now the linebackers who had been screaming with the guards and trying to slice under them to get to the running back on the edge, now they're sitting at home, look at those double teams, trying to figure where the ball's going because they've seen a change up. Okay. And like I said, you're looking to zone blocking for this, for your rules, but you know, there's ways where they can number. It's not influence blocking. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this to influence, but you can go 0, 1, 2, and 3, and 0, 1, 2, 3. But the thing about that is you don't get the double teams climb the linebacker. So I go covered, uncovered, just as a side note. So there's some simple ways which you can influence block. We do it on counter. Counter is a huge influence block where we have an arc call, and often we have, this is our scenario where we have a backside, we'll go unbalanced. So this guy's not a big strong road grader, okay? And we'll call a single wing unbalanced formation. We'll get an end out here, okay? Usually we get something like this. We get a lot of defensive linemen, a lot of linebackers. Okay, we have a safety over there, but we'll come back with a counter call, and we're going to pull one guard. But this guy right here, he will influence block, okay? He's not a road grader. We're not going to ask him to kick out. We're going to have him go to backer, okay? And he's going to step with his outside foot. He's going to open up wide, okay? And what this does is it gives them, if they just go down anyway, okay, they don't have the depth to wall off a linebacker. Okay, now the linebacker can easily scrape over top. So I want him deep and then down. This also opens up this end. So he's going to start with this foot. If he hits the end, so be it. We don't really care so much. Not on this play anyway. On traps and option, you really don't want to touch the guy, but this is an exception to the rule. Usually you don't touch him anyway. And we have a boxing end here. If he's a spiller, we're going to use our quick ends and have the same technique as a tackle. He uses the ricochet technique where he will step in and drive off his shoulder. But our goal is to gain depth and pop him wide. He's going to go down the backer. Okay, that sets up the trap. So we've influence block here with an arc. We can even, if he's really give us trouble, we can call in arc. That's our standard block. Is influence. It's on our standard scheme. We just don't tell him, hey, go get this linebacker. We tell him how. So you're going to, on this counter, you're going to start with your outside foot, gain depth, ricochet, go to backer. Okay, if he's really giving us problems, playing behind the head or something, we will arc. Okay, send him wide and send this guy up to the backer. Another influence. So there's some ways of an unlimited number of ways in which you can influence block, which is simply influence the defensive linemen, linebackers with technique and footwork that gives a false read, disguises your blocking scheme, disguises your play, and really it should be in every scheme because you really can't run a straight gap scheme without it. Defenses get used to seeing what they're seeing. They get faster. They get more aggressive. This slows them down. This gets them going the wrong direction. This puts them in a position where they're easy to block for undersized or underskilled guys in mismatches. So you really can't, I don't think in most leagues, particularly varsity level, matriculate to the highest level of ball unless you have some sort of influence scheme, either by tag or individual technique drilled in, kids being conscious of it. In our scheme, we had both. We had tags, arc, sugar, salt, etc., sucker, wrong way. And we also had kids conscious of setting up the defense to give each other an advantage. We'd squeeze them down, double team, okay? These two guys might come tighter together, influence block, okay? Get the guy where he's comfortable for us to lock in on and get our fits. If you want to trap them, get wider. All starts from the stance on in. So hope that helps you. I hope that helps you beat somewhere you're supposed to. I hope it helps you improve your run game. And, if you don't want to use it, good luck. So thanks for watching. Peace out. Have a great summer.